Hey guys, it's Daniel from Full Tilt Drift, and today I'm going to show you how to install a power steering cooler on any car with a rack and pinion power steering system. First, you're going to want to go online and find transmission coolers. Why? Because transmission coolers are an oil-based cooler that's going to work just as well for a power steering cooler at much less the cost. I picked this cooler up on Amazon for about 40 bucks, came with the whole kit, and the extra line was only about 10. So for $50, I can't complain. A rack and pinion power steering system usually consists of three main parts: the reservoir, the pump, and the rack and pinion. And understanding how to install a power steering cooler only means understanding which lines run between which.
The lines for the power steering system run like a triangle. One line supplies fluid from the fluid reservoir to the power steering pump. One line runs from the power steering pump to the power steering rack, and the line we're interested in that I've indicated here runs from the rack back to the fluid reservoir and is the low pressure fluid return line. We're going to be accessing the low pressure return line to install our power steering cooler, and this is how the system will look afterwards.
The power steering cooler is always going to be installed on your low pressure return line. There are a couple ways to find this, so let me show you how. This is our power steering reservoir, and as you can see, we have two lines coming off of it. Sometimes you'll have three, but usually this is how you'll be able to tell. One line, in this case our bigger line, is the supply line running to our power steering pump. The other line, the smaller line, is the one that's going to run down and normally would connect to our return line from the power steering rack and pinion. As you can see, my power steering pump has a banjo fitting here denoting the high pressure line. If we follow that line, it runs down here, turns into a silver hard line, which we can follow all the way back to the rack and pinion. Next to the high pressure line on the rack and pinion, we're going to have the return line. This is usually going to be the only rubber line coming off the rack and pinion, as it has low pressure compared to all the other lines. This is where your power steering cooler is going to be tapped in. Now that we know which lines are going to be accessed, let's see what we're going to need to install the power steering cooler. I picked up a Hayden transmission cooler, and it came with everything I'm going to need. I did go and pick up some extra line just in case, but I'll talk about that later. What we have here is the transmission cooler, which we're going to be using for our power steering cooler, some oil-safe line, a couple radiator mounting tabs, which I'll probably be using later, and of course hose clamps, which we're definitely going to need. Alright, now the last thing to do is decide where you're going to mount the cooler. Usually in front or behind the radiator is your best choice, but because I'm running it on a drift car, I'm going to need as much airflow as possible, so in front of the tire might be where mine goes. When the engine's all put back in, my cooler's either going to go here in front of my radiator or here in front of my wheel. Alright guys, that's all for this time. I'm Daniel from Full Tilt Drift. Leave me any questions in the comments, like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out the channel, I've got plenty more.